So in this part of section 2.3, we're going to talk about a couple of the formats or equation types that we can see online. So the first one is what's called point slope form. And one of the things about mathematicians and math people in general is we're not real creative namers. So we name it like we see it. So in order to work with point slope form, you're going to need a point, so an XY ordered pair. And in this case, it is going to be this X1, Y1 that you're seeing in this formula, and a slope, which is going to be M in this case. Now, the other format that we're going to look at is what's called slope-intercept form. And this is the one that is kind of like drilled into you in like a high school algebra class. This is Y equals MX plus B. And this method or this format is great for graphing. And that's one of the things that we're going to look at here in just a second as we are processing this, okay? So first one that we're going to look at is it says to write in an equation in point slope form for a line with a slope of 6. So I'm going to transfer some of this information, slope of 6, and they want us to go through the point 2, -5. And they do remind us that our point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, okay? So looking at what we've got here, they told us we have a slope and they gave us a point. Now, again, this x1, y1 right here, that's your point. This y is going to stay. This x is going to stay. So we've got y minus, and then I've got -5 because that's my y value. My slope is 6, x minus, and then the x value. Now, the only thing about this that you are going to clean up is if you have a subtract a negative, okay? This is one of those ones that everybody wants to like keep going and keep doing. Leave it alone. So that right there is done, okay? Don't try and solve for y because then you're not in point slope. The whole thing about this point slope is you should be able to see the point that was used or the x and the y for this, and then the slope. Those are the things that we are expecting to see, okay? Now, the second example that we're going to look at, and there is a slight typo in the PowerPoint, if you're looking at the PowerPoint, is that it wants this to be done in point slope. Again, we're going to put this in slope-intercept. So we have a slope of -2, and they want us to go through the point 3, 4, okay? Now, I've seen this done 2 ways, and I'm going to show you both options here so that you can understand. So option number 1 is we utilize this point slope form that we've already have. So we would have y minus 4 equals -2 x minus 3, okay? Only this time we are going to go ahead and try and finish moving this through. So we would distribute. So I'd have y minus 4 equals -2x. Let me switch colors here. Let's get a little light. -2x plus 6. And then we would move the 4. So we wind up with y equals -2x plus 10. Okay, so there's where we end up. Now, option number 2 that I have seen done is you actually start with y equals mx plus b. You have an x, you have a y, you have a b. You're going to plug them all in. So I've got 4 equals -2 times 3 plus b. We're going to solve this for b. So I'm going to add the 6. I get that b is 10. So now I have y equals my slope and then my b. Now I'm getting the same answer, okay? So that is not a concern for what we've got going on here. This becomes your choice. Some people like to have just one equation and then they know to filter down to get to a y equals for slope-intercept. Some remember this formula and it's a little bit easier to just plug and chug the stuff into it as they go, okay? Now, the last example that we're going to do out of this section is they want us to do some graphing. So I'm going to flip my board over here so that I've got a nice pretty grid space. And the equation that they want us to graph is we've got f of x equals 3/5 x plus 1. Now, I got this from a friend of mine, okay? Thinking about mx plus b. B is where you begin, okay? So this is going to be your starting spot, and it does begin on the y-axis. So in this case, I'm at positive 1. So we're going to put a dot right here at positive 1. The m is how you move, okay? So this is positive. Remember, it's rise over run. So from that dot, I'm going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and over to the right 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, technically, you only have to have those 2 dots to graph a line. However, oftentimes you will see us do it more than once, just so we have more dots to play connect the dots with, and we can make it a little bit straighter. So 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 5. And then you can reverse this, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kind of moving down and back. Okay, so now I've got several dots. Again, you really only had to have 2. Okay, so there's my line, and you would have arrows. Now, helpful hint, if you are asked to graph from slope-intercept form, the expectation is you will graph this dot right here on the y-axis, and then you will have probably one of these 2 dots, okay? And that will auto-graph it in, okay? But the concept is you are going to have to hit that y-intercept, which is your b value, and then have one of the dots that is counted off from the slope,